AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime Video. This week, the NFC West grabs the spotlight as the Los Angeles Rams visit the Seattle Seahawks. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with football's best party, TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon. It's Rams Seahawks, Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And don't miss the Broncos and the Chiefs on Christmas night, only on Prime Video. Not a Prime member? Not a problem. Simply sign up for a 30-day free trial. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
2 hours ago, Kyle arrived at the bar.
Hey, what's everyone drinking?
30 minutes ago, Kyle got his friends another round of drinks.
Cheers!
5 minutes ago, Kyle decided to drive home drunk. A minute ago, a law enforcement officer pulled up behind Kyle.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
A chain of events that began 2 hours ago is about to change Kyle's whole world. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
Welcome back to Big Little Lessons. I'm Jenny. I'm here with my longtime teaching partner and dear friend, Kristine. What if the Christmas classic storybooks we grew up with were teaching us important lessons? What do you think about that?
I love that. That's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to take a cozy, meaningful deep dive into 3 beloved Christmas stories that shaped our childhoods. Well, definitely my childhood and definitely Jenny's childhood.
Yes.
But they continue to shape the childhoods of the children we teach and also our hearts. So we're going to explore, when we talk about our hearts, we're really also talking about the social emotional lessons and themes that are woven totally naturally and organically into these stories. The stories we're going to talk about are Twas the Night Before Christmas, my ultimate favorite, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and How the Grinch Stole Christmas. So yeah, it's going to be so fun to talk about these stories. They all 3 teach us wonder. They teach us about identity. They teach us about belonging, empathy, courage, connection, and hope. So that's sort of what Jenny and I have come to. Those are the lessons that we really feel are being taught naturally in these books.
I think it's so interesting we know we've loved these books. We call it Living in Our Hearts. It's a book that you love to read over and over and over again. It doesn't matter if you're a young child or, now seasoned into your 50s.
Yes.
Or older. They are something you return to, but to spend some time looking at the social emotional lessons that we're learning, I think that's kind of cool.
It's fun and it's exciting. I told my mother that we were going to, talk about these during a podcast. She goes, "Oh, I read you that story the night before Christmas every year of your life." And I was like, "Oh, that's why I love it so much."
And it's amazing when it's a story that lives in your heart and you read them to young children. It's a story that usually will live in their heart as well.
Completely. Yep. So definitely the stories remind us who we are and who we're becoming. So before we jump in, we want to talk a little bit about the school that we teach at. So we work for an independent Episcopal school, and our school community is made up of people from all different faiths, right? So in December, when there's a bunch of different holidays, we celebrate all of them. We celebrate Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, through the stories that we read, as well as different activities and projects and crafts. And we love having families come in and help us learn about their family traditions, right?
So yes, we do a lot in December, a lot of learning and celebrating. But for today's episode, we decided to hone in and focus on some of the classic Christmas stories. So part of our school mission is to educate one another's beliefs and celebrate our differences. And one of the things we do for Christmas is we educate our students about the very first Christmas, what Christians around the world celebrate, which is the birth of Jesus. In small groups, we read the story taken from the book of Luke. We act out the story and dress in character, and it's adorable. We have costumes, so we have someone dress up as Angel Gabriel visiting Mary in the garden. We have Joseph being a carpenter using a small wooden block and a very small hammer for safety reasons. We may have the innkeeper hiding behind a closet door. It's adorable, and we love it. In addition to teaching the students about the very first Christmas, we read classic Christmas stories that we have cherished since we were young. We have so many stories, but there are those tried and true that for Kristine and I, these stories really stand out.
So we're going to jump into Twas the Night Before Christmas. My all-time favorites. Jenny and I sort of are honing in on these social emotional themes, a theme of wonder, emotional regulation, like regulating, anticipation, and being present, like being in the moment. That's what we came up with. So we want to give you some facts. We did a little bit of a deep dive, and we found some really cool facts about the story because it was first published. This is probably the most well-known fact, that it was published anonymously in a newspaper in New York called the Troy Sentinel. And it wasn't called The Night Before Christmas. In fact, it was called An Account of a Visit from St. Nicholas. And that was on December 23rd, 1823. So, as I said, it was anonymous, and they did not list the author, which also adds like to the mysteriousness and the magic, right from the beginning.
Yes, there was a controversy around who the actual author was. So some believed it was Henry Livingston Jr. He was a New York farmer and poet. So while most believe it to be Clement Clark Moore,
right,
the author, a professor and a scholar, and he was eventually Clement C. Moore was credited as the author, and it was included in his collection of poetry in 1844. For all intents and purposes, there was controversy, but Clement Clark Moore is the accredited author.
So when we read the story, the imagery is just so incredible. Mm-hmm. And it did help shape the image of Santa for sure, because before this poem existed, there wasn't really a consistent depiction of what Santa looked like. So in this story, it introduced key elements that we consider like a jolly, plump, cheerful Santa, a right jolly old elf, a sleigh pulled by reindeer. He also named the reindeer, now Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen, on Comet, on Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. And then what all children love is, the excitement and the wonder of Santa coming through your chimney, carrying a big bag of toys on his back. So it like single-handedly defined Santa into popular culture, right?
Yes, and that's interesting because before that, Santa was depicted more as kind of wearing darker clothes. He didn't have the little rosy cheeks. He was slender. Now we're like, no, he has to be jolly and red cheeks and all that good stuff. Another interesting fact that we enjoyed is the sentence, "Merry Christmas to all, and to all a good night." This became an iconic saying from this poem, and it is one of the most quoted and recognized phrases in American literature.
As in my family and your family, it became a tradition almost immediately. So way back when, before it was published into a book, it was clipped from newspapers and read aloud on Christmas Eve. The rhythm and the imagery turned it into a ritual. That's part of the beauty of this poem.
It's kind of bouncy and it's musical, and it's why this story, it's soothing, and yet at the same time, it's very exciting.
It takes you on a journey, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like it's a kind of a roller coaster ride in a way. Mm-hmm. You're not going upside down, but you're going up and down in as far as the rhythm and the excitement and all that. Mm-hmm.
It's really true.
Yeah, and it also, like when you think about when you're rocking your child, it's perfect for bedtime. It's a melodic, kind of soothing, fun.
It is, because the beats. So we also found out that it remains one of the most reprinted and memorized poems in history, and I can attest to that because I know it by heart, which I'm so proud of. Nearly every generation since the early 1800s has grown up hearing it, making it one of the most enduring holiday texts in the world. And I do take pride in reciting it every year. I gather everyone in my family and I'm like, okay, I'm doing it.
Oh, do you do that on Christmas Eve or before?
I do. I do it on Christmas Eve.
Well, and I was cracking up because I was pulling out books, and I'll just have to say there's so many things that bounce off from the original Twas the Night Before Christmas. I found, because when I was a young child, I was living in New Orleans. So we would have the Cajun Night Before Christmas. And instead of reindeers, it was alligators, which I thought was cute. And then last year, I believe it was my daughter, Gracie, I am a huge Office fan, the Dunder Mifflin Paper Company. And they came out with one called The Night Before Christmas at Dunder Mifflin.
I think this might be a new collection forming.
Yeah, I see it. I have my old stack right here next to me.
I'm going to do a deep dive in other versions. Yes. So that's so fun. And then, so besides the imagery that we talk about, we really want to sort of hone in on the social emotional lessons.
Yes.
And so let's start with the concept of wonder. We said you talked about excitement and anticipation. So just literally, like on the second page, when the children all were nestled all snug in their beds with visions of sugar plums dancing in their heads, like that is so visually pleasing and thrilling and exciting. You know, the children are going to sleep, but their hearts are fluttering, like with the quiet thrill with what's to come, and they're visually what they're imagining, the visions of sugar plums, I can access that so easily.
Uh-huh.
And they're so excited. They're waiting for Santa to come. They're waiting for Christmas morning. So the anticipation of what's to come, and it's cozy and it's wondrous. It's just
it's wonderful. Well, and I think about the rhythm and storytelling, this language it's inviting. I like it's a steady beat of a verse with the rhyming, and it rocks everyone into gentle peace and predictable. So I like it when they're describing Santa. His eyes, how they twinkled, his dimples, how merry, his cheeks were like roses, his nose like a cherry. You can visualize it. And then, of course, if you're reading the picture book, you can also enjoy the illustrator's point of view.
But you're so right. It definitely, like when you talked about it earlier, like the rocking a child to sleep, love that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it goes from like that sort of calmness to the anticipation and the excitement, when the narrator who's telling the story hears them and away to the window, I flew like a flash. He jumps out of bed. He tore open the shutters and threw up the sash. Actually, when I was little, I didn't know what that meant. And no one explained it to me. And I was like, he threw up? I don't understand. Like, why would he throw up? And why would he throw up?
Why was he throwing up sash? What is sash?
And then, so from like that big moment, it goes to when what to my wondering eyes should appear but a miniature sleigh and 8 tiny reindeer. So you're like really up high and excited, and it's like the climax, and then it comes back down again.
Yes.
Right?
And that's that up and down. I think about, what we learned with Catherine Sifron too, about mindfulness and noticing, looking at things. So it says it in this poem. The moon on the breast of the new fallen snow gave a luster of midday.
The holidays are here, and that means it's the most wonderful time of the year to save with Rakuten. Use Rakuten to stack cash back from your favorite stores on top of holiday sales. That's savings on savings. With Rakuten, you can get cash back on gifts for everyone on your list. From toys for the kids to kitchen gear for the person who loves to cook to electronics for everyone. You can even save on something for yourself. Just shop the stores you love and cash back is automatically added to your account. And you can get paid with gift cards, PayPal, or check. Or eligible American Express card members can even choose to earn membership rewards instead of cash back. It's truly a no-brainer. Join for free today and get a new member bonus after minimum qualifying purchases. Just go to Rakuten.com, download the app, or install the browser extension. That's RAKUTEN. Terms and conditions apply.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime Video. This week, the NFC West grabs the spotlight as the Los Angeles Rams visit the Seattle Seahawks. Division rivals in a primetime showdown. Expect two outstanding defenses, big plays, and a battle that could shake up the standings. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with football's best party, TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon. It's the Rams and the Seahawks, Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And don't miss the Broncos and the Chiefs on Christmas night, only on Prime Video. Not a Prime member? Not a problem. Simply sign up for a 30-day free trial. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
All right, everyone, let's talk about drinking and driving, a decision that will change your whole world. Things will never be the same once you get a DUI because legal fees, time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way your world could be irreversibly changed after drinking and driving. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You could face a life-altering injury or even death. But you're not the only one who could face those consequences. Your decision to drink and drive could permanently change someone else's world, whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. Always plan for a safe ride home. The only decision that will change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. It's never worth it to drive drunk. Don't risk it. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
AI agents are everywhere, automating tasks and making decisions at machine speed. But agents make mistakes. Just one rogue agent can do big damage before you even notice. Rubrik Agent Cloud is the only platform that helps you monitor agents, set guardrails, and rewind mistakes, so you can unleash agents, not risk. Accelerate your AI transformation at Rubrik.com. That's RUBRIK.com.
Objects below. The imagery, the rhyme, the words, it's melodic. And it helps you to slow down and think, yeah, you can almost picture that in your mind. So we have enjoyed reading this book every year to our kindergartners. As soon as we opened the book, the classroom would soften because they were familiar with it. Because we cherish this story and we have so much enthusiasm, that carries on over to our students as well. And their imaginations are opened.
And I think also the wonder, when they're thinking about, when they're wondering, it helps regulate you. It anchors you, right? It brings you, like you said, the mindfulness piece. It brings you into the present moment. And what I love so much is that without formally teaching any of these points, these social emotional learning points, they're just woven into the story.
Yes.
You know, so we've been reading this for so many years, and I love that this is the first time we're talking about it because we never really thought about what it actually is doing. So it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I think about being in book clubs, adult book clubs, and we go into things like what were the central themes, but this was our first time really looking at some of our beloved classics and what are some big themes in them. And there's so many good ones. So let's go into our second one, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And our social emotional learning themes would be identity, belonging, self-worth, and inclusion. So we were curious, where did Rudolph begin? Was it the movie that we'd watch on TV, or is it the story? Where did it all started? Interestingly, Rudolph was born in a department store. The character Rudolph was created in 1939 by Robert L. May. He was a 34-year-old copywriter working for Montgomery Ward. Did you ever shop at Montgomery Ward?
No, but I remember hearing about it.
Yeah, I don't think I ever did either.
I think it was like our parents' generation.
Yes.
It definitely was, because it was like the 40s and 50s.
So kind of the like a Macy's or a Bloomingdale's kind of.
Yeah, I think so. It was a big department store.
So the company asked Robert May to write an original Christmas story so that they could give away to the children during the holiday shopping season.
So he came up with Rudolph, but it was a booklet and it was free. So he printed a 32-page booklet, illustrated it, and he handed it out to the people in the store.
It sounds like almost kind of like when you go to a restaurant and they have a children's little activity set. That's what I kind of picture, like a little book. You know how there's a little crayon and there's a crossword puzzle or something to do?
Exactly.
And this was Rudolph.
It was Rudolph. And he illustrated the whole thing. And in the first year that he did it, there was 2.4 million copies distributed, which was at that time an astonishing number. And then by 1946, more than 6 million copies were given away, but all for free. It still wasn't being sold yet.
Yeah. So that's 6 million copies in 7 years. Yeah. That's kind of incredible. But you know what? The interesting thing is that the inspiration for Rudolph was a very personal time, a painful season for May, Robert May. His wife, the author, his wife was battling illness, and he felt connected to the idea of a gentle, misunderstood character who ultimately realizes he has something special to offer.
Yeah. I mean, that's so
it makes me sad that out of his pain, he created beautiful story.
And then the other point that we found so fascinating was Rudolph's red nose was originally a risk for the author because in the 30s, any depiction of a red nose was associated with drunkenness. And the department store, Montgomery Ward, worried that readers would misunderstand what the author was trying to do. But he did convince them with the help of a different illustrator. There was a fellow named Denver Gillen, and he created the warm, child-friendly sketches to show that Rudolph's glowing nose was not to poke fun at drunkenness, but it was magical.
I like that.
Yeah.
This book was almost lost, but May got the rights back. So at first, Montgomery Ward hired him to make up this story. So Montgomery Ward owned the copyright.
Right.
But then after 8 years in 1947, it was pretty unusual. The company's president transferred the copyright back to Robert May, giving him full ownership, which I think is very cool.
That was really generous because they didn't have to do that.
No, they didn't. And it was unusual. But what it allowed for was May to support his family during a time of financial strain. So I'm really glad that happened for him because I'm sure he was watching the numbers rise every year and his popularity. And you can almost feel that feeling like I wrote all that and it's being well received, but I don't own the rights. So I'm really glad that worked out for
copyright. It's real.
Yeah, even back then.
And then, the song, which we all know, everybody knows the song. So his brother-in-law, Robert May's brother-in-law, in 1949, his brother-in-law's name was Johnny Marks. He was the one who turned it into a song. And then what lives in all of our hearts also is the recorded version by Gene Autry, and it became a #1 selling hit, over 2 million copies the first year. So you can hear it in your head.
Totally. Probably sing it the rest of the day. So from the booklet to the song, it eventually turned into the beloved TV show 1964, this TV special. But, it began with that little booklet. And
so amazing.
I remember back in the day when we were young kids in the 70s, that show would come on once a year and it would talk about anticipation. You would have your little TV guide. You're like, oh my gosh, on Tuesday night at 7:00 at night, it's the one and only time I can watch Rudolph. And we'd all be looking forward to that.
It was one of the first mainstream children's stories about embracing differences truly, right? The book emphasized themes of belonging. And the show too, you really see it. Yeah. Self-worth, empathy, unexpected gifts, making it one of the earliest holiday stories centered on social emotional learning principles. I think Rudolph, more than The Night Before Christmas, like it's more obvious what the author's trying to do.
It starts when his dad's trying to cover up his little red nose and to go to reindeer school. Every year, it gets me every year. I'm like, no, be nice to Rudolph. He's such a good kid. No, remember when he's trying to talk and it's kind of nasally, like he has a cold?
And doesn't that resonate with nearly everyone at some point?
Yeah.
So, feeling different, feeling outside. He was too shiny, too quiet, too something. But definitely seeing it on TV every year was such a big deal.
Yep.
And really having so much empathy for Rudolph. He gets laughed at in reindeer school because he doesn't fit in. And then he gets sent off to the land of the misfit toys.
Oh, I know. I love those misfit toys too, because everyone there, has experienced adversity. And so this is such a perfect story to use as a lesson for Rudolph's differences, and then end up being his bright red nose was the guiding light for Santa's flight on that foggy night.
So much. Yeah, that's some serious social emotional learning right there, right? Understanding our identity, building self-worth, being included or not being included, finding belonging, not by changing who we are or hiding who we are, but by honoring who we are.
Yeah.
So it's a teaching story.
It's a definite teaching story. And thank you, Rudolph, for continuing to teach that valuable lesson.
Love it.
And then we get into probably my favorite story, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. And, you're a mean one, Mr. Grinch. But I think you and I have talked about this, about the themes for this social emotional learning. And again, there's empathy through the various characters. There's emotional regulation, connection, and probably the best part is the transformation. So the history of the Grinch. Kristine, what did you learn?
So he was created by Dr. Seuss. So he appeared in 1957. He was definitely going through something at the time. He admitted that he himself was feeling grumpy about the commercialism of Christmas.
I think a lot of people could relate to that.
Right? I mean, you've talked about that a lot. And we found a quote that said, from Geisel, that said, "I was brushing my teeth in the morning on the 26th of December when I noticed a very Grinch-ish look in the mirror." So then he took that concept and he turned the feeling and the concept into a character, which that's so Dr. Seuss for you.
Yes, I know this was a turning point for Dr. Seuss. So How the Grinch Stole Christmas was one of the first major Seuss books to deliberately carry a deeper moral theme.
Right.
That Christmas is not about things, it's about connection, belonging, and the human, or in this case, the Whoville spirit.
Right. Yeah. And then in 1966, the TV special made him a cultural icon. It was produced by Chuck Jones and narrated by Boris Karloff. It introduced millions of family to the Grinch, and it added two important elements that weren't in the original book. So the song, "You're a mean one, Mr. Grinch." And then also, that's a song that everybody knows. And then at the end of the story, the Grinch's heart grew 3 sizes in one day, which is one of the most quoted holiday lines as well.
Yeah. And you can almost picture him, almost going over little Max, that cute little doggy, and he's pulling up the sleigh and that heart starting to grow and then a bust out the frame.
So moving from the book to the adaptation, it definitely made him a permanent Christmas figure.
Yes.
We in our school, the first grade do a huge Grinch Day, and
it's so cute.
It's really cute.
The Grinch endures because he teaches timeless social emotional lessons. The first one is empathy and compassion. To see the Whoville community celebrate even after losing all their stuff. And that connection cracks open the Grinch's hardened heart because he thought he was on a mission to ruin Christmas. And for them to all go gather around the tree with the stars shining brightly and they're singing, it cracks them open. And I love that scene.
Yeah, it's powerful. It's pretty powerful. Another idea is belonging. So he begins as an isolated outsider, rightly so, because he's grinchy and grumpy and hard to like.
Yeah. Like anybody.
And, he did it to himself, but there's always a reason behind it.
Hurting people hurt people, and he was definitely hurting.
But then he's welcomed into the community without conditions. The Who's just killed him with love and kindness.
Well, and that's a reminder that we have to offer forgiveness. When somebody isn't nice to us, we say, well, maybe there's got to be a reason.
Remember the Grinch.
Remember the Grinch. And remember, we all have days and moments that maybe we're not our best, but it's sure nice when somebody says, hey, come join us. You're part of us. That really can help heal people. So I also love the transformation and the growth, that his change is not forced.
Mm-mm.
It's a relational change sparked by witnessing authentic joy and gratitude. And you can see that horrible face, that Grinchy face, and then it kind of turns into his heart is melted and his whole face softens.
Yeah. And then also think about like the perspective, the power that brings. So shifting from resentment, from the grumpiness, the grinchiness to the connection shows how our understanding can change with just like one experience of kindness. Like when we're in a bad mood and somebody smiles at us, or gives us a hug, and it could really shift your perspective in the moment.
I've had that happen, and it can be little tiny things, just a wave from the car or somebody saying, let me get that door for you. I mean, it makes such a shift. So it's a reminder that we can all offer a little bit of kindness. It can go a long way.
Yeah, like sometimes when our students are having a bad day or they're feeling grumpy and we say to them, do you need a hug? And sometimes even we forget to say, do you need a hug? But that's really what they need. And that will just completely do exactly what it does in the story. It just softens them and makes them feel connected, and it changes their perspective. So it goes a long way.
These three stories, as well as others. Again, we only had so much time, so we picked our top three, but bringing these stories together. And when we place these stories side by side, the anticipation of Santa's arrival, Rudolph's journey to belonging, the Grinch's transformation, as well as the first story, which is the birth of Jesus on Christmas morning, we begin to see a fuller picture of Christmas. So
definitely.
With that, Kristine, we should talk about our big little lesson.
Yeah, what's yours, Jenny?
Well, I love fictional books. I read, of course, adult fictional books as well as these beautiful classic fictional stories. I love them because they go deep with our social emotional components, addressing universal themes. And oftentimes we don't even realize it. We're just touched. We're like, I love this book. I want others to read it, and let's talk about it, because there's something so touching, and it's usually about the connection and transformation about someone. So that's what my big little lesson is looking for the universal themes. How about you?
I love that. I mean, I completely agree with that, and I echo your lesson as well. But I would say besides the social emotional learning piece, I was a language person. I love linguistics. And the rhythm, so the language and the rhyme and the vocabulary and the illustrations in all three just also really made an impact on me growing up. And I feel like those are all still impacting children.
Oh, yes.
And it's almost like a cultural experience. But it fills your heart, but it also is educating you to some degree.
It is. And there's something about going back to it year after year, having these holiday books and pulling them out. It's like it's putting a blanket over you and cuddling up and hearing a familiar story again. We often teach our students, when you've read the book, when you're done, you've just begun. We really believe that actually can mean more impactful the more times you read it. So you think, oh, we've already heard this book 5 times. Well, imagine the impact and the familiarity when you've read it 20 times. So it's something special to revisit every single year.
I'm so excited to read these stories because I haven't yet. But
oh gosh,
we're just about to, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, it's the anticipation of reading the story, because you don't want to do it too soon. You want to do it just at the right time.
Timing's everything. Well,
so let's have the homework.
Oh yeah, what do you want to have for the listeners to optional homework this week?
So what about just to find, read, enjoy, and revisit any holiday story your family loves?
Oh, I love that because, there's so many good books. And we've addressed books that were written decades ago, but there are current books that have been coming out that are phenomenal.
Right.
We wanted to investigate books that have been popular for a very long time, but I think there could be a book that was just written 6 months ago that might be the family favorite. That becomes your new tradition.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, there's so many great ones. It's so true.
So many books.
This was fun, Jenny.
Oh, it's always fun hanging out with you.
Same. Thank you so much for joining us this warm, heart-centered episode.
We might not have all the answers, but we have a lot of experience.
So we're going to say Merry Christmas, friends. May wonder, belonging, and joy meet you right where you are.
Happy holidays! Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a happy holiday. If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.